Welcome to this C4A Academy episode. We will discuss going from simple to complex semi-open questions, including expanding the utterance, when eyes get stuck, and how to follow the typer until it doesn't make sense. Simple versus complex semi-opens.
All right, now we're going to tackle a very important point, which is going from a simple semi-open to a complex semi-open. Very, very key milestone to get over. Judy, help us get through it.
Okay, so remember my analogy. I think I brought this up in earlier videos. Okay, imagine that the promised land of open communication is on the other side of a big river. Your green known questions essentially are walking towards a bridge. Your semi-opens are the bridge that are going to get you there. The simple semi-opens, some people call them tight semi-opens, are lists. So again, right? What did today? Judy ate toast, jam, and coffee for breakfast. Tell me something Judy ate. There's only 3 potential answers: toast, coffee, or jam. Okay. Now, supposing we look back at my really bad paragraph that's my pretend terrible lesson. Judy woke up one morning in a great mood because she was going to be teaching her beloved non-speakers that day. Excited to get to work, she dressed, showered, went downstairs, made a big breakfast because she was hungry, where she had toast, jam, coffee, fruit, and eggs. She then called her friend Deb to talk about Deb's dinner the night before with her friend and jumped into the car to drive to work. Period. Okay. Simple semi-open would be, what did Judy eat for breakfast? There's only, 4 or 5 items I mentioned in a list with commas in between them. A complex semi-open would be, what did Judy do in the morning? Now, the information was given to you in the paragraph, but there's literally almost an infinite number of ways to answer that question. A correct answer would be, ate breakfast. But a correct answer would also be, she woke up in the morning excited to get to work, but ate a huge breakfast first and then jumped in the car and got there. You have no idea what your non-speaker is going to say. I have found personally that it's too hard for people to go from jam as a simple semi-open to that complexity of answer. Okay, so I have created for my parents and my other communication partners here kind of a methodical system of breaking that down to make it a little bit easier for people. Okay, and remember, success breeds success. So the more successful you are at getting answers out, the easier it's going to become for both you as the communication partner and for your non-speaker. Okay, so what I do is, before I even try to tackle a complex, some people call them loose, semi-opens, you will recognize them because you will see, instead of a list, you will see short phrases. Now, the short phrases of the answer are suggestions only.
Yes.
It's really important you understand that your non-speaker does not have to say what's on that page. It's just a suggestion for you to kind of get ideas in your head about what they might say, although they could say something completely different.
This transition from simple to complex semi-open questions is critical to getting to open communication. I am thrilled that Judy is going to break it down for you.
All right, so what I do first is I have a step 1, simple semi-opened. Step 2 is what I call expanding the utterance.
Expanding the utterance.
What do I mean by that? Elizabeth and I are going to demonstrate it for you. I'm still looking at green questions. On that first paragraph of the current events Tesla versus Edison lesson that's on the C4A site, okay, I have a question in the first paragraph: where was Tesla born? The correct answer is Croatia. They were given that information, right? Croatian born. What I would do is I will say, now assuming we're now of course on the 26 letter board, I will say to my non-speaker, where was Tesla born? Answer in a sentence. The reason I do that is because there's only an incredibly limited number of ways that somebody who speaks English will answer that.
Mm-hmm.
They would say, he was born in Croatia. There's almost no other way to answer that in a normal English sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you could say Tesla was born in Croatia.
Mm-hmm.
You could say Nikola Tesla was born in Croatia, but that's really your 3 iterations. There's really nothing else to say. So, where was Tesla born? I don't know what she's going to say. Answer in a sentence. H and E. Great. He.
Mm-hmm.
The board is up.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because it was a simple semi-opened. He, Tesla, Nikola Tesla. She
Mm-hmm.
chose to say he.
Mm-hmm.
I now say, give me a verb that makes sense. W. A. S. Great. He was. He was what? Look, 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 look. B and O R N. Great. He was born where? I N C and R and O move. Get there, get there, get there, get there. A and all the way. T and look, 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 look. And all the way. Look, 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 look. Get there, get there, get there, get there. A. Beautiful. He was born in Croatia. I broke it down into a series essentially of simple semi-opens or knowns. I didn't overwhelm the student by saying all at once, he was born in Croatia. Because this is their first time starting to talk in sentences.
Yes.
So what I do is I break it down. Simple semi-open. Give me a word that makes sense to start the sentence. Great. He. Perfect. Give me a verb that makes sense here. All right.
I think that we should add more of these, complex semi-opens like this, because I think they're terrific as a bridge.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's not emphasized quite as much in our lessons. So I'm thinking we should go back in our lessons and add a bunch of these, because I love that it really is then hard to go from a single word answer
Oh gosh, yeah.
to then saying, okay, we're going to expand it, but expand it in a way that is controlled. I like
Controlled.
that.
You can use known questions in this way by asking the typer to answer in a sentence instead of a single word. We need your encouragement to write complete sentences, so please ask for them. When the eyes get stuck.
I really like
All right,
that.
so let's take a look at some more of these.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Let's do another paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Alva Edison was born in Ohio on February 11th, 1847. Like many people of that era, Edison had very limited schooling, but he was an avid reader. He was also very hard of hearing, which was likely a familial genetic condition, which hampered him socially to some extent. In 1863, he began working in the telegraph industry, and his interest in fiddling with electronic devices was born. His first invention was an improved telegraph device that allowed 2 messages to be transmitted at once. Then he added a printer, which converted the electric signals into letters. And then he was off and running, inventing to the point where by the end of his life he held 1,093 patents. Okay?
Now, you didn't do your keywords,
I
which you
didn't.
normally would.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Because I'm not emphasizing that in this video.
Okay, all
What I'm
right.
trying to do is get quickly to
Okay.
these simple semi-opens.
Yes, but normally you would on your list.
Sorry, the expanding the utterance semi-opens.
Mhm.
Okay, yes, you would. All right. What was Edison's middle name?
Mhm.
Answer in a sentence.
Okay.
Now, in your own head, think, how might she start this sentence? I don't know. Give me a word that makes sense. Great. H and. Great. His. His what? M, beautiful. I and D, look. L and E, N, all the way, look. You got it. A, M, and great. His middle name. Now bear in mind, she could have just said name. She also could have said Alva was his middle name. Alva was his name, but she chose to say his middle name. Give me a verb that makes sense then. W-N, A, S was what? All the way. Great. A and look. Find it all the way. Look. Okay, little stuck. Give her an eye reset. No big deal. L and V N A. Beautiful. His middle name was Alva. I was actually glad that happened, because no matter how adept a non-speaker is, okay, at times fixation, when the eyes just get stuck on something, happens. Okay, it is so not a big deal. So all I ever do is, I usually even say that, I just lift the board and just, or sometimes I just jingle it a little bit, just get the eyes off of it and just, continue to move. Okay.
My eyes don't get stuck on a keyboard, but they can get stuck on stencils, like getting to the L in Alva, because I can see through the letter holes. If this happens with your typer, you may want to try paper behind the stencil letters. Follow the typer until it doesn't make sense.
Okay, now the reason that I emphasized so much to you in looking at those simple semi-opens is the idea of following your non-speaker. Okay, I didn't know what she was going to start with. She chose to start with his. She could have started with, as I pointed out, Thomas Edison. Edison's middle name, okay, Edison's name. Alva was his middle name. There's just no way to know until they hit that first letter and follow along. Okay, so again, I find that it's very difficult for people, believe it or not, to do this, because there's a tendency for parents to think, or CPs to think, how I would answer this question.
Right.
But how you would answer this question may not be how they would answer this question. And a perfect example was the M for middle. It's right next to the N. You're thinking middle name, but supposing she had just hit the N. A lot of people will then say, shift your eyes left, and you just committed the cardinal sin. So the rule of thumb, when you get to this stage, is you will let them spell until it completely, overtly makes no sense.
Yes, and then say, try again.
Then say, try again. Go back. What I actually say is, let's go back to where it made sense.
Yep.
Okay, so his what? Give me a word that makes sense. Because his worked.
Yes.
So I wouldn't make them respell his.
Right.
Okay, so if I got his MJXP, okay, I still don't know. I would go back and say, okay, got a little off there. His what? Try again.
Right.
Okay, does that make sense?
This transition to writing sentences is so important for our future. We need to be able to write essays for school or work. We will surprise you with more and more complex sentences. In this episode, we talked about simple versus complex semi-opens, where a simple semi-open answer is a list, and a complex semi-open answer can be any one of multiple phrases or sentences. To expand an utterance, the communication partner can ask the typer to build a sentence one word at a time. When the eyes get stuck, it is no big deal. Reset the board. You can also try paper behind the stencil letters if it happens frequently. Follow the typer until it doesn't make sense. Write down what you did understand, reset the board and try again. Your episode exercise is to select a C4A Academy lesson. Ask complex semi-open questions with phrases as answers. Try expanding the utterance. Build sentences one word at a time. Keep practicing sentences with known questions as well. Complex semi-open questions are the bridge to open communication. Here it is, your moment of zen.
H and I, E and V and E and R and all the way. You got it. All the way, my love. O, move. And hi, everyone. M, Y, and move. A, move. Look, find it. Okay, M, my name, I, and is all the way. All right, great. And move, A, move. Come on, you got it. R, and my name is Mark. A, and next letter is, what comes after? Come on, after the A comes N, and M, Y, all the way. D, move, I, and go. Okay, great. A, and keep going, Mark. You got this. Keep that hand up and moving. Come on, sweetest heart of my life. G, good, and move. O, and S, move, I, and my diagnosis, I, and keep going, lovebird of my life, is what? Changing something? Okay, is, go ahead. Mistakes don't matter, Mark, go ahead. Just fix it. Good. F, and keep going, lovebird of my life, go. R, move, A, love. Keep going. G, good, I, move, L, move, all the way. E, N is my diagnosis is fragile X. Okay. Go, go, go. What you gonna tell everybody, honey? Yeah. D, move. O, move. N, move. Don't. L, and come on, sweetest. Keep going, Angel. You're doing amazing. L, okay, L, E, don't let, A, don't let, what comes after the A, sweets? Come on, after the A comes in, don't let, okay, I got the A, then comes in L, A, okay, got it. Don't let a label don't let a label M and A and K and make don't let a label make Y and O look all the way. Where are we going? Make you. Don't let a label make you. B, move, E, move, L, move, I, good, E, and all the way. V, don't let a label make you believe. T, and go ahead, sweetest heart. Don't let a label make you believe. T, H, A, all the way. You got it. Don't let a label make you believe that what? That, did you want that you? Xing out. Okay, don't let a label make you believe that what, Mark? W, N, E, N, C, move, A, move, N, move, N, move, O, move, T, and T, move, go, 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 where are we going? A, and don't let a label make you believe that we cannot. T, and A, L, and K. Done. That was awesome!